to be a police officer and work at the police station.
I want to be a teacher and work at a school.
I want to be a firefighter and work at the fire station.
I want to be a nurse and work at the hospital. I want to be a chef or a vet. I want to be a scientist. Can you tell me, what do you want to be?
Okay, my name is Chimuka. I'm a commercial lawyer. So we'll talk about law today. After this session, you should know what lawyers do and that they will go to heaven. So one thing we're taught is that lawyers do not go to heaven. Okay, so basically, law in the narrow sense, as you are taught when you are still growing up, refers to rules that regulate conduct and behavior in a society. So whatever you do, if you decide to sleep, there are laws that are applicable. If you hit someone with a car by the road, there are laws that are applicable. If you decide to beat someone as we are sitting here, there are laws that are applicable. So life generally is regulated by the law. So think of anything. If your father fails to pay your fees at school, there are laws that are applicable. You follow what I mean? So anything you may think of, if as you're sitting under this roof, if something happens to me, I may say, oh, probably people who called me were negligent because they allowed me to sit on a broken chair. And then now I'm injured. They've been diligent enough, they should have realized that this chair may have caused someone to get injured. So that's the law for us. So everything is about the law. Whatever you do, you saw the person who was explaining about labs, the person who presented before me. And there are also laws that regulate their ethics, like mixing up of symbols. You could be rendered liable if you mix a person's symbols. So that's basically, so laws, there are written and unwritten laws. Written laws are found in statutes, then unwritten laws are referred to basically as the common law. So that's about the law. So I'll get into what you need to study the law. Having set out the background, now you know everything is regulated using the law. So if you want to study law, basically you must study art subjects. That's your history, your divinity, literature, and sometimes Shona. But now I'll tell you this, there's a good thing that's happening now. Universities are evolving, so they are not very much strict about subjects. I studied with a person who had studied maths, accounts, and economics at A level. So they're getting a bit more relaxed, but obviously when it comes to articulation of issues, it may take a bit of some time for them, but that is not to say they are bad from pursuing the study of law. But if you study literature, that's good for you because you spend much of your time reading and writing documents. So lawyers do interpret the law. Now that's what you want when you study law. Now you need to have done a bit of some mathematics because universities now require mathematics for entry. When we joined university, that requirement wasn't there. They were saying you should not trouble lawyers with too much mathematics, Pythagoras theorems, and all sorts of things. So that's basically that. Now, having studied law, what do you do, for a living as a career? So law gives you quite a number of options. So you don't need to study law as I myself do. So if you have studied law, you can decide to join the police force. Lawyers are needed there. They interpret the law for the police. Then you can work as a lawyer, in-house counsel at a company. For example, I know at Akribos there is a lawyer there who advises the company. So as companies grow, they need in-house lawyers who give them advice in the company. So lawyers can be employed by companies. Lawyers can be employed by financial institutions and banks. Then lawyers can also practice as state attorneys, like the Attorney General. The Attorney General is the government advisor. It's a position that's provided for in the Constitution. Then you could also practice with the Prosecutor General. Prosecutor General, all crimes, if you beat someone, you are offending the state. Now listen, that's very interesting. If you beat someone, you are offending who?
The state.
Right, the state. So if you beat me, you have offended the state. So it is the state which prosecutes you. So there are people called prosecutors. So you can practice as a prosecutor. Those are the people who get into court and say, in the case of John, State versus John, we are facing allegations of assaulting Susan at City East Church on Sunday, the 20th of August, 2022 at 10 a.m. You should have realized that you did not have the right to do so. Can you respond? Then also I deny. You follow? Now, so that's the state prosecuting. So you could also practice as such. Then as you go up, you can be a judge at a later stage. But a judge should be someone who would have practiced law for 7 years in the private sector. So you could be a judge as well. So there are quite a number of things. Then within the field of law itself, you can decide to specialize. There are lawyers like myself who are exclusively commercial lawyers. Then there are lawyers who are criminal lawyers who then defend the criminals against the state. So a prosecutor will prosecute. Then there's a person called a defense lawyer. Whoever ever heard about that? A defense lawyer. So the defense lawyer will say, no, this does not constitute a crime, or, he was under the influence of alcohol, or, on that particular day, he was stressed, and, then you find doctors to explain the stress, and, he had lost his father, his mom, that's unbearable, so it can cause this inducement, so biology start explaining things. So that's the defense lawyer. Then, so there are quite a lot. So it could be also a lawyer in the financial services sector. Now there are tech lawyers, lawyers who advise on technology. Now there are new field lawyers who are dealing with blockchain, crypto, and other things. So there are quite a number of things you can do as a lawyer. Then lastly, you can decide to practice in private practice, like what myself and my friends do at our law firm. We are in the private space. So if you have an issue, if you want to have your property transferred, conveyancing, you can come to us and then we'll conveyance your property. If you want advice and when your employer is troubling you, you can come to us. If you think you have a problem at school and someone is calling you to do school on the Sabbath day, you can come to us, we'll give you advice. We'll tell you about your constitutional rights and say that you mustn't attend classes on a Sabbath day, depending on the circumstances. So law is a very broad field, very interesting. And by the way, you can also live decently if you are practicing law well. So some may want to hear that. So I think that's basically, that's about law. I'll leave more time for questions.
Just clap hands for you. I know you heard what I heard. I just don't know if I heard it along. So now I want to know, you and your friends, there are many of you that work that side.
Yes.
Okay. And how would you call a group of you guys standing there in Shona?
In Shona?
In Shona.
Magweta.
All right. But it doesn't, I need you to reduce the word because we're kids here.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
The reduction may be a complication. Vadudzirive murairo.
But okay, that's
Vadudzirive murairo.
But I also heard that you're called Varoi. Is that exactly?
Yeah, I heard people saying lawyers, varoya, so varoi. So I heard people say that.
So those who want to be part of Varoy, put up your hands. Okay, there's one there. So we want to ask questions now. You heard he said there's commercial lawyers, there's lawyers who make sure they check Facebook, there are lawyers who check a lot of things, there are those who check crime, and then there are those who stand for those who hit others. So if you've been hit before, you need a lawyer. Yeah. So those who like hitting others, just know that the lawyers are coming for you. So I need people to put up their hands. After these people, there will be no more questions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Right? For the first time, we have 9 people to ask you about their crimes.
Okay, thank you.
1.
When you're talking, you left out sociology or not defined before I move on.
Okay, sociology.
Yes.
I, for one, studied sociology, but it was something I studied on my own. So sociology is good for law because it helps you understand social behavior and social sciences. So it's a good thing as well.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good subject for law.
Now, I want to critique law.
Okay.
Now, who creates law? I feel like the law is a state apparatus for those in power. How come we can't create our own law to govern ourselves? How come we have to follow law that has been put into the system by those in power? How can we trust that law?
Sorry, before you answer, I want to check, are your parents here? Your parents are not here?
Not my parents, they are my guardian.
Where are your guardians? I want to look them in the eye. And then look at you and understand where you are. I want to see what they look like. Then I'll understand your question. Are they here?
Yes, he's around.
All right, what's his name?
Mr. Masteriva.
Mr. Maseriva, where are you? Oh, right. I now understand why you ask things like that. It's a Sunday. But now, sir, please answer us.
Okay.
They're saying, why do we have to have that law when we have our own law?
Okay. I mean, he started by referring to sociology. So when you have studied sociology, it teaches you that everything in society is about oppression. So it's called the conflicting perspective. So that's where he's coming from, so I understand him. So he has read a bit of some sociology. Now coming to you, when you study the origins of law, law started in what is called the social contract. So when we study the background and foundation of laws from a non-biblical perspective, so there's what you call the natural law, which is the law that derives from the Bible. When you follow reasoning, that law follows the biblical logic. For example, when we say marriage can be legally concluded between a man and a woman, we are following the natural law because nature does not allow a relationship between a man and a man. You understand? So that's the natural law theory. Then you come to what we call the positivist theory, is where he's coming from. That is called social contract. You say law started in the social contract, so a group of people came and say, guys, how do we regulate this society? Like, how they created America. Then we say, guys, let's say in marriage, this is how we regulate it. Business, this is how we regulate it. XX, and it goes on and on. Now, what he refers to then comes at a secondary stage, where we say in the social contract, others then became more powerful than others. So they then referred to law as it is. So they started say, I want to preserve my power. Then what do? I say X must not do Y, so that we preserve the status quo. So you follow what I mean? So when we go to that angle, we then say, oh, okay, so those who then use the law as a state apparatus is because we gave them the power in the social contract. So they then begin to enact in accordance with the preservation of the desire to preserve their status quo. So that's basically what happens. So for you to dislodge that, you have to go back into the social contract. So social contract will then say at a later point, let's take them out of parliament, let's what they go, a vote of no confidence, and all those processes. So basically, the powerful then will decide how the law is used. So that's basically the answer in the social contract.
So now I don't know what was more complicated, the question or the answer. Because by the time you finished answering, I was on the social contract. I understood the contract. Did you understand?
Yeah, I understood.
Thank you so much. If I give you another chance, I may not be the same again. So if I have time, I'll come back that way. All right? The next question, yes.
I wanted to ask, right now I'm under 18, can I have my own lawyer?
Okay. All right.
What has Elder Requester done to you? Why do you think that? I can see it in your eyes. You want to be free. She's asking, can she have her own lawyer? She's under 18.
Okay. Now, basically in terms of the law, if you are coming to me and you are under 18, it depends with what you want to do, because there are certain transactions you can do with a minor. So basically, but not to say minors cannot have their lawyers. If you have an issue that is not commercial in nature, and you say, I'm having this problem at home, Mr. Chimuka, then I can assist you in that regard. Then I'll say to that limited extent, yes, you can have a lawyer, and you say, probably my mother died and X is coming to take all our property. Then under those circumstances, I'll have a moral duty as a lawyer to make sure that I defend you. But in terms of having, and then I'll do that in most instances pro bono without charging you a fee, because you can't legally contract with me because you are a minor. But not to say you will not then be accorded the protection of a lawyer. Yes, you can have your own lawyer depending with the circumstances who assist you.
So once you turn 18, you're now paid.
Yes.
So
you can contract.
Understood? Did you understand your first question?
What if I assume some children not under 18 in their own lawyer? Don't they have lawyers through the fact that their parents are rich, and they can pay their lawyers to do whatever they want?
So
If my parents are rich, let's say, I'm giving an example, my parents are rich and I want a lawyer. Can I have my own place down?
okay, if you have your issues and as I know your father is a responsible man, if you have issues, you assist you accordingly and you get you a lawyer, certainly. Then if you want to consult on some issues, you go through him. But not to say that I will contract with you, you are still under, you still have an incapacity in terms of age. But if you have problems that are afflicting you, we have a way of discovering. If you come to me, you tell me the problem, I'll certainly render assistance to you, but not for a fee.
Yeah. So wait, I'm coming to my 9 people, then I'll open for new hands.
It's not a question,
Yeah.
right? I think I need to further justify a question. Right?
Yes.
She's okay with the father.
Yeah.
You need to get it from this way. They are okay. But she's saying that the father is in a position whereby he can contract a lawyer for her. Is it okay for her to have a lawyer, whereas the father can be the one who is responsible for the payments? That's where she's coming from.
If that is the case, then yes, I can be a lawyer through the father. That's yeah.
Yes.
Now it's the crime, then they take the lawyer, then they come out of the court not guilty. The lawyers take pictures of the line.
Okay. So law is not a straight jacket thing. Law is not a science where you say X equals Y. So a person is innocent until proven guilty. So a person gets into court innocent. That's why we call them the accused. So after having been tried and found guilty, then we call them, we can say that this person is a convict, is a rape convict. He was found guilty of rape. So when you are in court, there are a number of things that causes a person to be acquitted. So I would not necessarily go and say, let's say take for example, there is a road accident. Someone has hit a young school-going age girl. Then they hit them with a car. Then when you are doing that case, that person is charged for negligent driving. You understand? So the accident is occurred, but what you want to establish is whether or not this person was actually negligent. So this is what I would say. We go and study the scene. Analyze the angles. Where was this person driving from? During what time of the day? Is the street a well-lit street? And are there any object that could have hindered the driver from seeing the girl? What was happening? So one case I did, there's that Chinese restaurant along that road that comes from Glenara, there's that thing. So where they've now put that green garden, if a person is walking from the ditch, they go up the ditch onto the road, then there was a tree that used to be there. So this girl went behind that thing, and this guy is not seeing. So suddenly the girl went into the road, then she was hit. So we have that kind of a scenario. So I simply did say, Judge, let's analyze the scene. This driver did not see this girl because ordinarily when you're still young, when you're going up a ditch, you run. When you run, when you come to this object, then the driver is not seeing you from that angle. Then you suddenly appear in the road. So the question is, was the driver negligent? So you simply describe the scene and say, under the circumstances, a reasonably acting human being could not have noticed the girl. Then that's how the person is acquitted. So in most cases, lawyers are about interpreting the law with a bit of experience. Then you can deal with the case without lying. But as you get along, especially in criminal courts, they can develop certain skills that go beyond facts. You follow what I mean?
So that simply means the sugar I was accused of stealing when I was growing up, even if I had some on my mouth, you would have got me out of that thing.
So those are some of the things. So you don't need to lie. You can do with law without necessarily lying. Yes.
Right. Our next hand.
What if the person is under alcohol or drugs and then he hits someone with the car without seeing the person? Will he still, when he comes back to normal, will he realize what he's done, or you put him 20 years in jail?
Okay, so if you are under the influence of alcohol, you mustn't touch a car. You mustn't sit behind the wheel. So you are never allowed on the road. So if you hit someone with a car and you are drunk, you have two charges: drunken driving, and then if you have killed a person, negligent driving or culpable homicide. You have negligently caused the death of a human being. So you can still be charged and convicted, then sentenced to 20 years in prison or a number of years.
We're coming down this way. Yes.
Can you go to a lawyer
With it? With a little problem? Yeah. Our doors are open.
Do you want to give an example of what little is? You want to see how wide these doors are, just for my interest. What little problem are you referring to? Give an example.
Let's say you have been retained because you are not then you go to the law.
Yes.
Who's doing the beating?
The parents beat because
comes to you as a lawyer to stand for?
Okay, lawyers live in a society, and as lawyers as I myself is, I'm also a parent. So I'll analyze your facts, then take you to your parents, and we can resolve the issues.
In other words, no, if you are hit, just stay at home.
No, we analyze the facts.
Yes?
Come again?
I learned that not to buy things that person is interested in that. If you, for example, let's say someone is guilty, then they give you back, then they say you prove me that I'm not guilty. Remember, because the person is like not guilty. And I learned that not to do that.
How old are you, young lady?
Okay.
Yeah, those 8 years have been tough. So please can you help us in our 8 years?
Okay.
Do you
So-
do a little something to forget the crime?
So lawyers don't create facts. So facts as they happen wherever they would have happened. So you bring the facts to us. If you pay me and you're telling me I'm not guilty, you tell me the truth. You follow what I mean? You tell me the truth, then I tell you your chances. Then we agree. So it's also something to do with an individual person's morals. To say, are we going to say not guilty? I actually killed the person. But then the other thing is, let's say you killed the person, and then I realize these are the facts. This person killed the person, someone, a human being. But then I would say, but you know, you are not guilty for murder, but you could be guilty for culpable homicide. Then we can deal with that at the level of culpable homicide. So having analyzed the facts, but because of money, we can't just be say 10,000 years, 10,000. I'm not guilty. Pleading is a personal choice. I'll put the facts before you, and as I go with you, you plead what you want. I'll give you the options on pleading. Then you plead what you want.
Yes, so don't bring 10,000, 15,000 will do, and 20,000, then we'll see what will come there, okay? So you can't buy the law is the law.
Yes.
So that's what he's saying. You won't accept it, that's what he's saying. He's saying he doesn't.
I'll give you money and then you prove me that I'm not.
So he's saying,
I'm not allowed to accept the money.
So let me tell you, so there's this thing with law. Like I've said, it's not a science, X equals Y and some. It depends with the facts and the circumstances. You follow what I mean? So you don't get into court and say, I'm not guilty. There's what is called, for example, if it's in criminal, you go through a trial process. The state has to prove its case. You follow? So if the state has no evidence, then that's where the matter dies. So there could be people who are guilty, who were acquitted because the state did not have the evidence. So there comes the issues of evidence. You need evidence to prove. You follow what I mean? Yeah, so those are some of the circumstances that will affect any outcome.
If a lawyer lies, if a lawyer kills someone, is he sentenced to death or what?
I want to know whose children these are. How? So do lawyers also go to prison?
Yes, of course, no one is above the law. It's just that we are interpreters of the law. So we are above the law as much as medical doctors can fall sick and die as well.
Even the president.
Yes. Can be jailed, though subject to some immunities, depending with the circumstances.
And at this moment, it's so difficult to answer that one. That's why the comma is so. Should I give you water to drink?
No, I'm okay.
There was the last hand there, and then we'll ask Elder Chimuka to sit.
Well, when you're going to learn lesson, you learn that if you hit someone with a car, the fault is yours, no matter the circumstance. But from what you're saying, that if you never notice the person, and then you hit the accident, consider circumstance, you might be innocent. So, what is the case if someone jumps in front of the car when you're on the sidewalk and you're refusing to stop? Like jumping in front of the car, so it's not like.
Okay.
The different case of not noticing, but actually noticing the day, but they're taking a certain action.
All right. So that understand emanates from a lay people's understanding of the law. So firstly, when they say it's you who is guilty or in the wrong, our laws here, our traffic laws do not regulate pedestrians' behavior. You follow what I mean? Maybe to the extent of not maybe jaywalking, just crossing roads where there are no legally recognized crossing signs. That's when you can be said to be on the other side of law. But even still under those circumstances, when you are hit by a car, the person who's charged is the driver, because the law recognizes the driver. It regulates the driver more than the pedestrian. So you are charged. But then, having been charged, if you then get a lawyer, it is then that your circumstances are explained. You are accused to say you hit a person and they died. Probably you are charged with a culpable homicide. When you get the lawyer, then that's when we begin to analyze to say this person just emerged from the bush abruptly, where there is no crossing and crossing sign. There is no way the driver could have reasonably expected a person to emerge from the ticket. So that's then when you are exonerated. But otherwise, it is not the law that you are always guilty. But what they want to make sure you do is that you drive cautiously and attentively.
Thank you so much. Let's clap hands for Brother Chimuka. Thank you so much, brother. We are going to go into our last.
I want to be a police officer and work at the police station.
I want to be a teacher and work at a school.
I want to be a firefighter and work at the fire station.
I want to be a nurse and work at the hospital. I want to be a chef or a vet. I want to be a scientist. Can you tell me, what do you want to be? 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 Can you tell me? A chef, a teacher, a firefighter, a scientist or an astronaut, a police officer, a doctor or a nurse. What do you want to be? Oh, what do you want to be? I want to be a doctor and help people every day.
I want to be an astronaut and fly my rocket into space.
I want to be a chef or a vet. I want to be a scientist.